You say something real, something honest, and almost immediately it feels fake, like you were performing it, even though you meant every word. So now you're stuck wondering if that was real, why didn't it feel like it? And that question doesn't leave quickly. Problem deep dive. It shows up in small moments. You're talking to someone, sharing something personal, and halfway through, you become aware of yourself, your tone, your facial expression, how you might be coming across. Suddenly, you're not just talking anymore, you're watching yourself talk. And that's when the feeling creeps in. This doesn't feel natural. This sounds rehearsed. Am I acting right now? Even if nothing is actually wrong, it feels off. After the conversation, you replay it. Not just what you said, but how you said it. Was that too much? Too controlled? Too calculated? And slowly, a quiet belief starts forming. I don't even know if I'm being real anymore. This doesn't just affect conversations. It changes how you show up in relationships. You hold back slightly or overcorrect. You either become too careful or try too hard to sound natural, and both feel equally fake. Because underneath it, there's one constant tension. You're trying to be yourself while also watching yourself be yourself. And that split is where the discomfort begins. But that raises a deeper question. Why does your mind step in like this in the first place? Reframe. What you're experiencing is not dishonesty. It's not manipulation. It's not you being fake. It's something more subtle. It's your brain trying to protect your identity in real time. At some point, your brain learned that how you come across matters, that being misunderstood, judged, or rejected has consequences. So instead of letting expression happen freely, it added a layer of monitoring, not to control you, but to protect you. The problem is that protection doesn't feel like safety. It feels like disconnection. Because now you're not just expressing yourself, you're managing yourself. And that changes the entire experience. But to really understand this, you have to look at what your brain is doing under the surface. Psychological mechanism. Your brain has two systems working at the same time. One is expressive, the other is evaluative. The expressive system is fast, it's emotional, it's spontaneous. It's the part of you that says things without overthinking. But the evaluative system is slower. It observes, it predicts. It asks, how is this going to be received? Normally, these two systems work together quietly. But when self-awareness becomes too strong, the evaluative system moves to the front and starts monitoring everything. This is called self-monitoring in psychology. It's your brain tracking your behavior against social expectations in real time. Here's the problem. When you become aware of your own expression while you're expressing it, you create a split. Like trying to act in a movie while watching yourself on the screen at the same time. You can still act, but it won't feel natural anymore because part of your attention has left the experience and moved into observation. This is also linked to something called meta-awareness, being aware of your own awareness. And while that sounds useful, too much of it creates distance between you and what you're feeling. So even when you're being honest, it doesn't feel honest because you're not fully in it. You're half inside and half watching. And your brain interprets that split as inauthentic, even though the content is real. So the issue isn't what you're saying, it's where your attention is while you're saying it, which leads to something important. If this is happening automatically, can it be shifted? Practical framework. There are ways to gently reduce this split, not by forcing authenticity, but by changing how your brain processes the moment. 1. Move attention from how to what. What to do. When speaking, focus on what you're trying to express, not how you're expressing it. Why it works. This redirects activity away from the evaluative system and back to the expressive system. It reduces real-time self-monitoring. Example, instead of thinking, do I sound natural, shift to, what am I actually trying to say right now? It sounds simple, but it changes where your mind sits. 2. Slow down expression slightly. What to do? Pause more. Speak a little slower than usual. Why it works. Slowing down reduces cognitive overload. When you rush, your brain splits attention faster. When you slow down, it has more space to stay integrated. Example, in a conversation, you take a breath before answering instead of reacting instantly. That small gap keeps you inside the experience. 3. Let imperfections stay. What to do? Allow small awkward moments without correcting them, because your brain monitors more when it tries to optimize performance. Letting imperfection exist signals that you don't need constant adjustment. Example, you say something slightly off, and instead of fixing it immediately, you let it pass. And notice, nothing collapses. 4. Anchor in physical sensation. What to do? Bring attention to your body while speaking, your hands, your breath, your posture. Why it works. This grounds your awareness in the present moment, reducing abstract self-evaluation. It pulls you out of your head and back into experience. Example, while talking, you notice your feet on the ground instead of your tone in your head. 5. Delay the replay. What to do? When the urge to replay conversations comes, wait 10 to 15 minutes. Why it works. Immediate replay strengthens self-criticism loops. Delaying it reduces emotional intensity and breaks the habit cycle. Example, instead of analyzing right away, you shift to something else, a walk, music, silence. And by the time you return, the need to analyze has softened. None of these steps are about fixing you. They're about reducing interference, so your natural expression has room to exist again. But all of them point back to one idea: integration. You don't feel fake because you're being fake. You feel fake because you're watching yourself too closely, like trying to enjoy music while analyzing every note at the same time. The experience gets disrupted, not because the music is wrong, but because your attention is divided. Authenticity isn't something you perform, it's something that happens when monitoring softens, when you're less focused on being seen correctly and more focused on simply expressing. So the goal isn't to be real, it's to stop interrupting yourself while you already are. And that shift is quieter than you think. Quiet, empowering close. There's a version of you that doesn't question every word, that doesn't replay every moment, not because they're more confident, but because they're less divided. And that version isn't something you have to create, it's what's left when the constant observing starts to fade. So next time you feel that familiar thought, was I being real? Pause for a second and ask something different. Not, did that sound right, but was I there when I said it? Because authenticity isn't about perfection, it's about presence. And you don't have to become someone new to find that. You just have to come back to where you already are.